This is a good conversation to have, I think, potentially for a couple of reasons. Suraj Patel is with us, and he's running for Congress in New York's 12th. Hi, Suraj.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I want to talk all about you, and then I want a little time to talk about Bernie and progressive politics in the general election, because I feel like you've had a little experience with just this thing in some of the races you've been involved in.
Absolutely, be happy to. What a race.
Let's start first with you, though. Tell us about this race. You come out of, you worked for Obama for a time, didn't you?
That's right. When I was in law school in 2008, I started out, I left law school to join the Obama campaign as a 25-year-old field organizer in Colorado, knocking on doors and gathering volunteers. And then I eventually switched on to doing advance, working for the president or the senator at the time for 7 months, traveling 7 days ahead of him out of a suitcase for the whole campaign, sort of opening his doors, cleaning him up where he left. And I got to see, the most remarkable election of our lifetime so far, in that we had hundreds of thousands of people at events across the country, smiling faces. And it just reminds you of how exhilarating it is to be a Democrat when we are leading boldly on offense, and not sort of just clinging to a fleeting past.
And so to this race now, what made you run? And tell us about your opponent.
So look, first off, a district like mine, I'm in New York City's 12th congressional district, which is the east side of Manhattan, a little bit of Western Queens, and North Brooklyn. Gerrymandered district with a little bit of 3 boroughs in it. And this is a district that leads in almost every facet of American life: media, entertainment, technology, finance, whatever. And it also leads in inequality. Far too many people on both sides of the East River are shut out of education and economic opportunity. And that's the promise of New York, right? My family moved here in the late 60s from India. Halls of Wall Street and the Ivy League were shut off to people like them. And it's through hard work and education that we were able to build our American dream. But that story is almost more rare than a lottery ticket anymore. We're 27th in the world now on social mobility, which is really, really pathetic, because central to the premise of the American founding is upward mobility. Now, my opponent, the 24-year incumbent in this seat, Carolyn Maloney, is one of the biggest recipients of corporate PAC dollars in America. She receives money directly from Goldman Sachs PAC, JP Morgan PAC, the very same companies that she then regulates in the Capital Markets Subcommittee. We even have a hearing from just a couple of years ago where she says she opposes a bill that was supported by municipal finance corporations, by the MTA, by people like that, to make it cheaper for public entities to borrow and issue bonds, because she, I quote, said that I oppose this bill because BlackRock, whom I represent, along with Vanguard and Fidelity, are opposed to this bill. Now, that's the kind of crony capitalism that we cannot, as Democrats, accept anymore. She was also an anti-vaxxer for 15 years in Congress, 9 anti-vaccine bills. We already got an anti-vaxxer in the White House. We don't need to attack science as Democrats. She voted for the border wall in 2006, far before Donald Trump proposed it, and then turned around and took $2,000 of Donald Trump's contributions for her reelection campaign in 2010, and has never donated that back to charity like so many other politicians have. Iraq war, siding with Trump on Iran over Obama. These are the things that, you can't, if that person is called a progressive, then that label no longer has meaning.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting. I love that that you mentioned progressive, because you yourself say you have some very, I don't even call them progressive ideas, although, again, as you say, you can make the progressive net and you can cast it as far as you'd like. But I know UBI is one of those things that you've talked about, universal basic income. And I like your take on it. Give us the shorthand on that.
Totally. So we released a bold plan called the Family Opportunity Guarantee. It comes basically from, I think, a moral obligation and from part of my biography. So the Family Opportunity Guarantee is a 5-part plan. The first is paid family medical leave. We are obviously far behind the world on providing that for all people. Medicare for kids, because you should be auto-enrolled in Medicare the minute you're born, and then be able to do what you want with that. nationwide universal pre-K, a public option for childcare. That is very important because, childcare is more expensive than college tuition in most places. So that's a very expensive thing when you're 20 to 40 years old at your lowest income levels trying to raise a kid. But here's the key part that you're talking about. We propose a $500 a month universal child allowance for every child in every family up to the age of 5, and then $350 a month after that. Now that would replace the current alphabet soup of tax credits like the child tax credit, the EITC for people with kids, the dependent care credit. Those things all add up to cost about $300 billion a year in the country anyway. For only a slight increase, we would halve child poverty in the country in the first year alone. And the people who desperately need this help the most, who don't make enough money to earn the tax credit back, the child tax credit back, those are the people that we're leaving behind. We need to put everyone on a ladder of wealth creation. And this policy would pay for itself back because every dollar spent on a child, eradicating child poverty, yields $7 back. Canada did this in 2016. 17 other industrialized nations offer some type of child allowance. Now, we call it universal child allowance. Some folks on the internet started calling it a UBI for kids, and though kids don't get an income, this is necessary. Look, there's a market failure in the country. Raising a kid is work. Our current economy doesn't reward or pay for that work, but we need it. So there are a lot of reasons why this is a great policy, and we look forward to talking to and taking back the mantle of family as progressives.
When you talk about the loss of the upward mobility in America, that dream has faded for a number of different reasons, is the income disparity and sort of the ivory tower that we've built, or is that the biggest problem?
Oh, I absolutely think so. I think when we look at upward mobility, we know that we have a massive inequality problem, obviously, and there are a lot of solutions we need, like higher taxes on the wealthy, not as a punishment, by the way, for success, but as an investment in our country's future. We spend 10% of our federal budget on children. If everybody really believes in equality of opportunity, and I know Republicans pay lip service to that, I know corporate Democrats pay lip service to that, then let's put their money where their mouth is. Why don't we guarantee opportunity for every single child? No one is born into child poverty. No one born into child poverty chooses it. No one should have to mortgage their future in order to go to college or to get a vocational education or community college. No one should have to be born without health insurance. Child's care is a child's right. All those things go right to the heart of equality of opportunity. And I think we have to at least start there because there's consensus theory across political spectrum that people do believe that in America, everyone should have the same opportunities to work hard and get ahead.
I mean, I love your emphasis on early childhood education and on kids. I just feel the die is cast so early everywhere, and we're no different in this country. Now I've left a little time to ask you about Bernie and the progressive message and whether or not it can fly in a general election, if Bernie is the standard bearer for the Democrats. And the reason I'm asking you is that I feel as though you've had a little bit of exposure with this because you're this progressive guy in New York, a lot of rich people, and then the haves and have-nots, if you want to think of it that way, the rich and the not rich. Tell me how the progressive message plays there, and then handicap how you play it in a general election.
Oh, look, the progressive message, I think we have to talk about it in terms of values, right? So we cannot let the Republicans monopolize the family. We cannot let Republicans monopolize economic opportunity. And absolutely, Bernie has changed the conversation for us. Basically, almost every single candidate in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary is far more progressive thanks to what have now become mainstay Democratic positions, attacking the cost of college, providing universal health care for all. Even Amy Klobuchar talks about the need for having universal health care. That should tell you something. So the message works so long as it's tied to values. And I think that, look, anyone can beat Donald Trump in a presidential election. The man is not that popular. And I know no matter who the Democratic nominee is, I literally mean anyone, we're all gonna work our butts off to get them elected, because we all know the stakes are too high. Donald Trump is an existential threat to our democracy. I fear that if he wins this race, we may be shut out of electoral opportunity for the rest of our future. They will make voter suppression the law of the land. They will rig elections, and it just isn't acceptable. So we have no choice.
Wow, so well said. Suraj, good luck with this race that you're in. And let me just post a little information. Suraj, of course, is surajpatel.nyc. You can donate there at actblue.com/donate/Suraj Patel 2020 and volunteer surajpatel.nyc/volunteer-NYC. But it's all there at the website, surajpatel.nyc. Such a pleasure to meet you via Skype and get a chance to talk to you, and good luck with your race.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and keep it up, guys.
Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.